Does the thought of home educating overwhelm you? Do you think you have to teach your child everything they need to know before they graduate? Today, we're going to be talking about how you can work to your strengths, manage your energy levels, and figure out how much time you actually have available for educating your child. We're going to be talking about these three key considerations. Welcome. I'm Marina Gabor. I'm a wife, homeschooling mom. This will be our 8th year homeschooling, speaker, and co-founder of Summit Writing Academy. So let's take a few minutes and unpack these three considerations when planning your child's education: your strengths, your energy level and that energy flow, and your available time. These are going to be in flux. They're going to change at different times during your life. You probably noticed this already. Different seasons. Finally, I realized, you know what? Winter is just different than summer. I cannot just plow through. So depending on your other time and energy commitments, things change. Major life events. We've had some major events in the last few months. Those change priorities, they change energy levels. These things affect how you are going to educate your child. If you have a spouse or a partner, we'll be talking about that. If you are a single parent who is home educating your children, you can apply these principles as well. So you're not left out. I know we're all in different situations, but if you have a spouse or a partner, remember when you started living with them, you got married and you had to decide who's going to do the laundry, who is going to do the dishes, who's going to take the trash out, who's handling finances or grocery shopping, any number of these responsibilities. Well, when we are talking about your child's education, we need to figure out who's doing what with that as well. We're going to look at a couple of steps so that we can figure that out quickly. Let's look at your long range plan. Now, last week we talked about 10 things your child should know before they leave home, and it was categories of things. And if you take a look at those categories, and you can go ahead and watch that video at your leisure, you want to determine what are you naturally good at, or what are you interested in? Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you're interested in helping your kid learn about it. So you're going to take that list and write your name beside anything that you are interested in or good at. And we're not talking about like that you have in-depth knowledge about the subject, but perhaps one of the things on that list was science, and you enjoy science. Even though you don't know everything about science, you can still put your name beside that. Now, you want your spouse or your partner to do the same thing. So we want to try to find out on this list of things that we want our kids to know before they leave home, what are you good at or interested in? What is your spouse or partner interested in and good at? And there might be some things, probably some things, that neither of you are interested in, but you really want your kid to know that before they leave home. So this list is the starting point. Now, the next thing we want to look at is who has time? Who has time? I know it's cliche, but there are only so many hours in a day. If you can figure out how to get more hours in a day, please let me know. But look at your current schedule. And when you look at your schedule, where do you have time to dedicate to your child's education? It could be that you look at your schedule and you say, I don't have time. That's important to know too. Are there any activities on that schedule that you're willing to cancel in order to accommodate facilitating your child's education? You're not a bad person if you say, no, I'm not willing to cancel that. We're just looking for information. These are not value judgments. Now, also, when you're looking at your schedule, have you blocked out any time for yourself? I know sometimes my schedule gets back to back to back to back, and I haven't booked any time for myself. And then life isn't good for anybody, right? You get burnt out, you get angry and resentful, and you start shutting down. I'm sure I'm not the only one this happens to. So, this time for yourself that you're blocking on your schedule, that is not a luxury. Not a luxury at all. It is necessary. So if you're going to take on this long-term project for managing your child's education, you need to be sure that you have time for the things that you have normally scheduled, plus some time for yourself. If you're married, you need to have some time for your spouse. Otherwise, that's going to go downhill. We need to figure out how much time do we have available. You see those blocks and you say, okay, I have 30 minutes here and I have an hour here and I have 3 hours here, whatever those times are. You've got your schedule sorted out. If you're doing this with a partner, you want them to do the same thing. Have them look at their schedule, figure out where do they have time that they could slot in for facilitating your child's education. Now, the thing is, just because there's a spot at 9 o'clock at night doesn't mean that you have the energy to facilitate their education at that time. So we have to look at the time and the energy. You've lived with yourself a long time, some longer than others, but maybe you've never thought about how you spend your energy or how your energy flows through the day. Anybody ever have an afternoon slump? Have you tried, maybe you have to work through that, 2 o'clock slump? It's painful. Your energy, it ebbs and flows throughout the day. When is your best time to work? When is your child's best time to work? Let's see if we can put those together when possible. When does your energy deplete quickly? What fills your energy tank? How can you balance those kinds of activities so we can keep the energy tank, fairly consistent? What about through the week? People often say they hate Mondays. Personally, I love Mondays. I've been rejuvenated on Sunday. I'm ready to go on Monday. But Tuesday, I don't know. I've done a lot of brain work on Monday. I'm tired on Tuesday. So figure out what works or what your weekly energy schedule looks like. What does it look like for you? What about for the month? Whether it doesn't matter who you are, your energy levels are going to fluctuate throughout the month. Part of that is, hormones. Have you been sleeping? What other activities have you been doing? How many times have you been out? Lots of things contribute to that. But generally, there is an energy flow throughout the month. Figure out what it is for you. What is it for your spouse? What is it for your kids? It seems like a lot of work thinking, do we really care who has energy at what time? I am all about reducing stress. And if we can be working at optimum times, we are going to be progressing faster in a shorter period of time. We're being much more efficient, much more effective in our use of time. So if you spend a little time on the front end, figuring out your energy levels, figuring out where you have your time, everybody's going to be happier. What about the year? We have energy cycles throughout the year. I know in where I live, we have lots of snow in the winter. That's a great time to buckle down, do the heavy academics, and just get her done. We get more reading done, all of this stuff. As it turns into spring, we're outside more. It's actually nice enough to be outside. So we're doing more of those outside hands-on kind of activities. We're still doing some academics, but we're leaning more towards the things that we didn't do in the winter. These are the cycles. And it might take a while to figure out, or some thinking to figure out and pinpoint, what are the cycles? And it's okay. We don't have to have the same thing every day throughout the entire year. So we want to start with the day. It's probably the thing that you remember most. Then expand to the week. Think about your weeks, then think about your months, and keep pulling it out and out until you get to the year. And you can have a broad energy map for the year. Then you can look at, okay, now how does my time map fit with my energy map? Now, how does my time map and my energy map fit with the things I'm good with? Where do I want to plug those in? Let's put this all together. If you didn't have your name, or your spouse didn't have their name beside anything on your original list, you are going to have to outsource. And that is okay. You are managing your child's education. It doesn't mean you personally have to be teaching them every single thing. It means you want them to be able to develop a skill, and so you are providing the opportunity for them to do that. You're providing the time, you're providing the internet access, or you're driving them there to lesson, whatever that is. Who's going to be in charge of outsourcing? So just like when you first got together with your partner and you are figuring out who's doing what, you need to figure out who is the primary person in charge of your child's education. Now, you both need to be on the same page. I'm sorry, I know some of you are struggling. Your spouse is not on the same page, and I don't have a solution for you other than move forward as you can and try to find some places where you're in agreement. But one person needs to be in charge and responsible for the outsourcing. In our family, I'm responsible overall for our children's education. I'm responsible for finding who is going to teach them a variety of things. What am I going to do? And it could be, oh, we're going to do a DVD set for that. We're going to do an online course for that. We're going to actually go to a physical location if that's okay with social distancing and so on. I know some of you are forming educational pods, homeschooling pods. Perhaps some of you are in co-ops. Whatever those things look like, those are all things that we are outsourcing. So make use of them. Now, if you're only pandemic homeschooling and you think, I don't need some big 10-year plan for my kid. I just am trying to get through the next year and survive. That's okay. We still need to be thinking ahead. Where do you want your kid to be in a year? How are you going to fit in those things? It doesn't magically happen, unfortunately. So somebody needs to take the lead. And once you are on a path and you've figured out a schedule and you've put those things in your schedule, try it out. Sometimes I try like a 2-week schedule and I think, oh, I would like this sort of a routine or a schedule. And then I try it and it's a nightmare. Like everybody's cranky. I totally messed up we didn't really have energy to do this back to back with this. But you have to try it for 2 weeks because the first couple of days are always awkward and you're not really sure, like you're just trying to figure it out. But after 2 weeks, if it's just not getting any smoother, make some tweaks. And as far as the broader educational plan, keep with it for at least 6 months. Because when you're starting new things, kids will go, I hate this. This is terrible. Well, that's because they're not good at it yet. So they need the time to figure out if it's just not a good fit or, I just wasn't in the groove yet. They need to have enough time to get in the groove. So when you're thinking about curriculums and programs and whatever, I encourage you to stick with it for at least 6 months to see, unless there's some, severe emotional harm being done to your child because of the situation they're in, then of course pull them out. But often I found that my kids just need to get in the flow and recognize, oh, okay, well, now I get it, and now I'm understanding it better, and it's fine. So we need to reassess regularly, make little tweaks as necessary, and I encourage you, if you have 30 minutes today, look at your list of educational goals for your child. If you haven't created those yet, I encourage you to do that. Just start thinking. You are not going to fail your child. Your list is going to look different than somebody else's. That is okay. You have a unique set of experiences in your household. Your child is unique. So your plan will be unique to you and your family. So once you have that list, consider your strengths. If you have a partner, they need to consider theirs. Look at your energy levels. Who has energy when? Map that out. Who has time when? So then you know what learning outcomes you're going to be directly involved in and what learning outcomes you will outsource. What learning outcomes you'll be directly involved in and what will you outsource based on your strengths, energy levels, and available time. I would love to hear how this framework has impacted how you'll plan your child's education, whether it's for the next year, the next month, the next 10 years, whatever it is. I'd love to hear from you. You can contact me directly, mgabor@summitwriting.net. I hope to hear how you're working on your child's plan and how you figured out your strengths, your energy, and your time, and how that's working for you.